Dear friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Nitesh Goyal from DAV College, Chandigarh. I am going to present before you the 34th module titled Sample Spaces, Events and Conditional Probability and the paper Tourism and Hospitality Research. The module will cover the following topics: the introduction, history of sets, importance of sets, the terminologies used under sets, the naive set theory, the types of sets, events and sample spaces, the sample spaces and events in probability, conditional probability theorems, and the summary. Dear friends, after the completion of this module, you will be able to understand the terms, experiments, outcomes, sample space. You will be able to understand the conditional probability. You will also be able to understand the Bayes theorem and its applications. Before beginning, I would like to give you a brief introduction about the topic. In the previous unit, you learned about the probability, its distribution, and the different concepts. The present module deals with the conditional probability. The module also explains the Bayes theorem and the Bayes rules along with the probability on large sample space. First of all, let's take on the history of sets. The set postulate, defined as an extension of mathematics that incorporates in it the collection of objects such as numbers and the functions. This theory is considered invaluable while applying the same concept to the ordinary experiences as a base for obtaining precision and be directed towards the explanation of definition of sets, the part of complicated and the cyclic concepts. From 1874 to 1897, Cantor conceived a postulate known as the theory of sets and was included in the curriculum at the school and college level. This theory that originated from their investigations resulted in problems relating to various types of sets consisting of the real numbers. Set is a collection of different numbers of thoughts taken as a whole. Objects of a set are defined as the elements or the members of set. Set theory, a radical approach, treated infinite sets as the mathematical objects that stand equally with the finite numbers. The mathematicians had carefully analyzed the effect of introduction of the actual infinite number of sets. This attitude was carried on for a much longer time. Cantor's investigations faced a lot of criticism to the effect that it has to deal with a number of myths. Once the relevance and the analysis were over, however, a change in the attitudes was noticed, and by the end of the 1890s, the Cantor's theory started gaining acceptability. Therefore, by the end of the 18th century, set theory came to be known as a mathematical discipline. This theory was the theory that was formulated by George Cantor in the years 1845 to 1918. Today, it is practiced almost in every branch of mathematics and therefore is serving as an indispensable part of today's mathematics. As a part of this theory, it encompasses in itself the representation of various sets in the roster and building form, as well as the various kinds of operations that can be formed on the sets. In our day-to-day life, we seldom talk about the collection of objects, such as a bunch of flowers, a flock of sheep, herd of cows, etc. In a very similar manner in mathematics, we come across the collections like prime and composite numbers, even and odd numbers, etc. Hence, to represent these numbers by grouping them together is termed as a set. Now, the importance of sets. Set theory is important because it is a theory of integers, models of axiom systems, infinite ordinals, and real numbers all in one. This served as a foundation for the whole mathematics. Anything one talk about in mathematics can be defined in set theory naturally and easily. Studying the set theory allows us to prove the theorems about mathematics itself. The formulation of set theory in the late 19th century motivated the mathematicians of the 20th century with all the miraculous results about its provability. Further, one of the most important and indispensable striking feature of humans is their need and ability to group various objects based on some criteria. Our forefathers segregated their tools based on their needs. The idea of categorizing certain objects into similar groups or sets is the most fundamental or the basic concept in modern mathematics. George Cantor formulated the set theory in 1870s. Since then, no field of mathematics could be explained without being referred to some kind of sets. Because of this, set theory is very closely connected to logics and hence served as the foundation for all of the mathematics. The terminologies used under the set description. First, the introduction. A set is explained as a collection of certain elements belonging to the same category. Second, the basic set notation. It is used to denote if a certain element is a part of the set or not. Then, the types of sets. There are various types of sets named as null or empty sets, universal sets, finite, infinite sets, etc. Then is the set equality. It is used to determine the equality between the two sets without considering the order of the sets. Next are the Venn diagrams. These are used to explain the sets diagrammatically, thereby helps to explain the logical relationships between two sets. Then we have the subsets. There are those kinds of sets in which the elements of one set are also contained in the other. Proper differentiation needs to be understood between the subsets and the proper subsets while dealing with the set theory. The universal set. It is a set of all elements under consideration, particularly a collection of all the objects within a particular context is shown by capital U. The objects themselves are called elements of a set named as U. Then we have the set builder notation. It is basically defined as the shortcut for writing sets, including the formulas, symbols, and restrictions while defining a set. Friends, now we come to the naive set theory. Under the fundamentals of set, set is a collection of elements known as the members or elements, which are considered as a single object. For example, if element X is a member of a set A, it is illustrated as if element X is a member of a set A, it is illustrated as X belongs to A, whereas X which does not belong to A symbolizes that X is not a member of A. Sets are explained with the help of listing all the elements enclosed within the curly brackets, such as to draw a set showing a list of prime numbers less than 10 can be shown as within the curly brackets 2, 3, 5 and 7. Then we have the finite sets. It displays an explicit set of members. On the other hand, infinite sets require certain rules to be framed upon. For example, a set illustrated as within brackets 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on shows the list of natural numbers where the natural numbers are symbolized using a letter n while describing a set. Null sets are described by using the symbol, the curly brackets or the phi, which contains no element at all. Now friends, let's come to the types of sets. A set is basically a combination of various objects known as the members of a set. For example, S is a set and X is a number of S. It is written as X belongs to S. In the same way, if X is not a member of S, as not an element of S. A set that consists of no elements at all is known as empty set and is shown by a symbol phi. If X comprises of finite number of elements, for example x1, x2 till xn, it is illustrated as S is equal to the within the curly brackets x1, x2 till xn. For example, set of all possible outcomes of a dice is shown as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If S contains infinite number of elements x1, x2, it can be illustrated as S is equal to x1, x2 and so on. If each element of one set are also members of some other set, these are termed as subsets. For example, S is a subset of T and is shown as this SCT, where C stands for the subset or vice versa. If the two sets are equal, it signifies that S is equal to T. A universal set is represented and denoted by the omega symbol that contains all objects which could belong to one's area of interest in a particular context. Now, the set operations. First, union of two sets refer to a type of set containing all elements that are in a A or in a B or possibly both. For example, within curly brackets 1, 2 belongs to again another set of 2, 3 is equal to within brackets 1, 2 and 3. Thus, it can be shown as X belongs to within brackets B a union of set of A. If and only if X belongs to both sets B and A, hence the union between the two sets is shown with the help of the following Venn diagram. Here, the shaded area shows the set B union A. Second, the intersection between the sets B and A as illustrated by symbolizing as A intersection B, exhibiting all elements that are common in B and A. For example, 1, 2 intersection 2, 3 is equal to 2 only. The intersection between two sets is shown by the shaded area using this Venn diagram. Third, the complement of set is denoted by AC or A bar. It refers to all the elements that are in the set S but not in A. Fourth, the difference or the subtraction of the two sets, that is A minus B, illustrates the members that are a part of set A but not the set B. For example, if A is equal to set 1, 2, 3 and B is equal to set 5, 3, the difference is 1 and 2, which is represented as in this diagram. Fifth, the set A and B are termed as disjoint if they do not have the common element. That is, their intersection results in an empty set, where A intersection B is equal to phi. Generally, several sets are called disjoint if they are pairwise disjoint, that is, no two of them share common elements. The figure shows three disjoint sets. Here, A, B and C are disjoint. Number 6. If the Earth's surface is taken as a sample space, we might want to partition it to the different continents. Similarly, a country can be partitioned to different provinces. In general, a collection of non-empty sets A1 and A2 is a partition of set A if they are disjoint as shown in the figure. Here, collection of sets A1, A2, A3, A4 is a partition of S. In the next diagram, you can see a combined view of these Venn diagrams. Now we have the events and sample spaces. A sample space refers to set of all possible outcomes in an experiment. Sample space is a set of all possible outcomes resulted out from a random experiment. It is represented by letter S. Each outcome that results out of a sample space is called an element of that set. The result out of this sample space is known as the event, represented by the letter E. For example, if a coin is tossed and the set 1, 2, that is a head and a tail is received as a sample space, the event can be 1 by 2, that is either a head or a tail. The first example, if a dice is rolled, the sample space T is given by, that is a set of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Another example, if a pack of 52 cards is shuffled, the sample space T is given by, for the probability of a king in it, that will be T is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 as there are 4 kings, where the first is the king of spade, second is the king of heart, third is the king of diamond and fourth is the king of bird. Now we have the sample space and events in probability. Sample space and events play important roles in probability. Once we have sample space and event, we can easily find the probability of that event. We have following formula to find the probability of an event, that is PE is equal to NE upon NS. Probability of an event is equal to number of elements in a sample space of an experiment, where NS represents the total number of samples in a sample space of an experiment. NE represents a number of elements in the event set and PE represents the probability of happening of the event. Now the addition rule for probabilities. A type of probability which states the probability of one and or two events occurring at the same time is equal to the probability of occurring of the first event, thereby adding the probability of happening of the second event, then subtracting the probability of happening of both the events at the same time. Now next we have the need of probability concepts in mathematics. Probability can be represented numerically with a number between 0 and 1, with 0 representing the impossibility of something specific that is going to take place and 1 representing the certainty of an event to take place. This number is often converted to a percentage in order to predict something useful, such as whether a person predicting the likelihood of rain on the following day. Such an individual uses probability by taking the available data on weather and make the most accurate prediction as possible. Probability theory differs from statistics because statistics require the examination of what has already occurred in order to evaluate how such a result has been arrived at. One very frequent use of the probability is the determination of events that are effectively impossible to quickly predict when a random decision needs to be taken. This is commonly seen in sporting events in which a coin flip can influence aspect of the game. In truth, a coin flip can be influenced by factors such as coin speed, but the relative impossibility of using this information to predict on which side the coin lands while trying to reach at the suitable conclusions. Now we have the prior probabilities. Prior probabilities are basically the original probabilities of an outcome which would be updated with new information in order to create a posterior probabilities. It is that one type of probability which represents the original probability, what one believes to be a perfectly true before any new evidences come into existence or any new possibilities are uncovered. New information is put to use in order to produce updated probabilities and is a more appropriate means to arrive at a potential outcome. Friends, let's have a brief on the conditional probabilities also. Probability of an event which totally depends upon the happening of the preceding events is known as the conditional probability. It is computed by multiplying the probability of the previous event by the probability of the next forthcoming event. With the conditional probability, we also have the unconditional probability. An unconditional probability is totally independent of the fact that a single outcome would only result from a sample of possible outcomes. To calculate this probability of an event is illustrated using the following formula shown on your screen. Now it says the formula is the number of times A occurs divided by the total number of possible outcomes. It is a kind of probability that is totally independent of an event's occurrence, not contingent on any prior or any of the related results. It is defined as the independent chance that a single outcome would result from a sample of all possible results that can be expected out of an experiment. To find the unconditional probability of an event, sum the total outcomes of the events is calculated and then it is divided by the total number of outcomes. It is also referred to as the marginal probability. The theorem identifies the importance of the usage of the calculation of the conditional probability comprising of two theorems, that is already mentioned, total probability and the Bayes theorem. Firstly, the total probability. It is applied while calculating the probabilities of various events as per the formula as you can see on your screen. The total probability rule. The total probability rule, called as law of total probability, divides the probability calculations into different components. It is used to find the probability of an event A when we do not know or even is sure of whether the probabilities of an event can even be calculated or not. Since the probability of an event A necessarily needs to be calculated, therefore, an event B is initialized, which is then made use of to calculate the probabilities of an event A. In probability theory, it is a fundamental rule to establish a ratio between marginal probabilities to conditional probabilities. Event A's probability is shown as the sum total of event B. The total probability rule is illustrated as the PA will be equal to P, where B intersection of A, plus P, where B is intersection of A. In this diagram, you can see the probability tree to find the total probability. Now, a brief about the Bayes theorem. Bayes theorem explains how to admonish the probabilities of hypothesis when given a proof. It simply follows the postulates of conditional probability, which can be further used to reason about the various involving beliefs updates. This can be explained with the help of this formula. Now friends, let's summarize the whole module. At first, this chapter deals with the history or the background behind the introduction of the set theory in the world of mathematics. The module also explains the concept of conditional probability, the Bayes theorem and the probability on large sample spaces. The naive theory, a fundamental theory of sets, have also been illustrated, defining the different types of sets and its related symbolism. The beginning of this module was with the concept of sets, defined as sets can be explained by listing all its elements enclosed within the curly brackets. So, set is a collection of objects referred to as the members or the elements which are considered as a single object. For example, object X is a member of set A. It is shown as X belongs to A, whereas X does not belong to A symbol denotes that X is not a member of A. The concepts of sample space and events have also been discussed, laying down its importance while calculating the probabilities of the different events. Once we have sample space and event, we can easily find the probability of that event. We have the following formula to find the probability of an event. The probability of an event will be the number of elements in a sample space of an experiment divided by the number of elements in a sample space of an experiment. Conditional probability has also been discussed, which provides us with an easy way to find out the cause behind an outcome of an experiment. Along with this, concepts such as unconditional addition theorem and the prior probabilities have been defined along with the suitable examples. The concept of the total probability rule, called as the law of total probability, divides the probability calculations into different components is also explained, since this rule illustrates the use of this kind of probability computation to find the probability of an event A when we don't know or even is sure of whether the probabilities of an event can even be calculated or not. Since the probability of an event A necessarily needs to be calculated, therefore, an event B is initialized, which is then made use of to calculate the probabilities of an event A. Also, the concepts such as total probability theorem and the Bayes theorem have also been explained by giving suitable examples, which would be able to get the readers a close insight into the various operations that can be performed on the sets. Thank you.